underwriting requirements.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel, home to the biggest shows on TV, like Hugh Hewitt weekdays at 6 a.m. Eastern, followed by Mike Gallagher at 9. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free, now on Xumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Xumo.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
AM 560, The Answer. If we want to preserve our constitutional republic, we need an informed and educated citizenry. And that's what this show is all about. Find out what's really happening. It's time to stop the lies and learn the truth. This is The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
And thanks for joining me tonight. It is Sunday, October 6th. And boy, has a lot happened in just 1 week. And quite frankly, we're probably not even going to get to covering the vice president debate that happened just on Tuesday, October 2nd, because so much else, other news has happened. Most specifically, the news of what's been happening in North Carolina with the hurricane relief effort and the botched response from the federal government. I mean, there's no doubt in most people's minds that there's been a botched response. And it's almost shameful that you got outlets like Politico essentially saying, hey, you know what? When it comes to election season, there might be a lot of missing Republican votes from the western part of North Carolina, which is largely red, largely Republican, simply because they've had this massive problem getting to even rescuing people and getting them the food and the water that they need to just survive. And so I don't know if Politico's cheering at the fact that these people may not get to vote, but it does seem a little bit odd that they're even reporting on it in such a way. Now, every effort should be made to, of course, North Carolina being a swing state of sorts. Now, reliably was supposed to go in Trump's way, but given the fact that there may be hundreds, if not thousands of votes missing simply because of the hurricane, who knows? North Carolina in play now because of a natural disaster? Is that any way to win an election? We don't think so. I don't think most people think so. It's not fair. Well, actually, I take that back. Probably the Democrats think anything that works in their favor is just fine with them. But about that botched response, there's been a lot of other reporting that's been going on. Everything from civilians being rejected, giving assistance. That's really, gotten everybody's gander up, and it's hard. It's hard to know what's true because for a long time, actually for quite a few days, and we're probably on day 11 now, I think, post hurricane hitting Florida on Thursday, September 26th. We're 11 days post that, and still it seems like we're getting mixed information from the front. But for a long time, we were getting no information from mainstream media. So a lot of stuff was coming through Facebook posts, social media posts, and people didn't know really what was true, wasn't true, because we've all learned to be a little bit skeptical of social media posts. So when it came to light that Jordan Seedham was flying victims out of the devastation over the weekend, when local leaders told him there was a flight restriction on the area and that they would have to arrest him if he continued making flights, when that post and that story got out, people were up in arms over it. Denying civilian support to people who are desperately in need of any support from anywhere, it just seemed like it couldn't be. Was this really our federal government, our local and state government shutting down support simply because it wasn't their support, but it came from civilians? Well, sure enough, that was actually a true story. And who knows? I mean, hopefully that's the end of that. Hopefully that post went viral enough that the federal government realized, you know what, we're going to have to let civilians do whatever they can. And that's actually what's happening. You've got even the Cajun Navy, which rose out of the 2016, I believe it was the Katrina disaster that year, that they've come in, and this time not with boats, but instead with mules, pack mules going up mountainsides, bringing supplies to people that have been stranded with no way out. So you've got a lot of civilians who are out there helping the effort. And plus you've got a lot of other folks, just linemen coming from all over different states. Finally, too, you've got the military a little bit deployed as well. And in fact, what it says here, oh yes, a statement from the Pentagon Press Secretary Pat Ryder on DoD support. They have sent in a battalion task force from the 18th Airborne Corps to include members of the 82nd Airborne and other units stationed at Fort Liberty in North Carolina. And the task force includes a forward support company with necessary support structures, fuel, water mechanics to support FEMA in stabilizing critical lifelines and essential services for communities in North Carolina. Now, this press release on that support going forward is dated October 2nd, 2024. Well, that's 6 days after the hurricane hit Florida, and really probably 4 days after we knew the extent of the damage in North Carolina. You know what? Okay, I guess it takes time to get troops moving, but honestly, North Carolina, you know, the 82nd station there at, well, Fort Liberty used to be Fort Bragg, North Carolina. It should have been immediate. It absolutely should have been immediate. We've got all sorts of assets in the military that are perfectly suited to helping people in need. It is interesting, though, however, that a number of the military helicopters flat out just too big and cumbersome to be able to land in narrow, small, confined spaces in the mountains of the treed mountains of North Carolina to actually do the rescue. So this is where the smaller aircraft from civilian come into play quite readily. There's also been a lot said about exactly about the tone deafness of the Biden-Harris administration in this whole thing. First of all, it was Trump first that was on the ground in Georgia, in there, talking about the relief efforts, doing something, and then it wasn't but 2 days later that Biden shows up, and then after that, Vice President Kamala Harris goes and does her dog and pony show, which is really what it was a dog and pony show. But the Biden-Harris administration could not be more tone deaf when it comes to this. Here you go. You've got a FEMA announcement. This is from FEMA, dated October 3rd, 2024. Biden-Harris administration provides more than $20 million to Hurricane Helene survivors. Ongoing search and rescue operations continue in North Carolina. And so they've got this whole release by FEMA about the support they're going to give. They've given more than $20 million in flexible upfront funding. More than 5,000 personnel from across the federal workforce are deployed, including more than 1,500 from FEMA. To date, FEMA has shipped over 9.3 million meals, more than 11.2 million liters of water, 150 generators, that's nothing, and more than 260,000 tarps to the region. These are for 8 counties in Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, North Carolina. 8 counties in Tennessee and other areas of Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. So you're talking about basically a 500-mile swath of destruction from Florida on up to the Northwest, and they're providing $20 million so far in flexible upfront money. Wow, that sounds like a lot of money, $20 million. Except that the very next day, of course, FEMA puts out that press release on February 3rd, but the very next day comes this statement from Anthony Blinken, Secretary of State. United States provides humanitarian assistance in response to the escalating crisis in Lebanon. Well, what are we giving them in Lebanon? Oh, the United States will provide nearly $157 million in new U.S. humanitarian assistance to support populations affected by conflict in Lebanon and the region. So the Lebanese people, which they estimate about 25% of the population has been displaced by the ongoing war, that their own population, those Hezbollah terrorists that have taken up control of Lebanon, their own population has precipitated this attack on Israel to defend itself. And 1.2 million are displaced in Lebanon, and they're getting $157 million from the U.S. And this press release comes out a day after FEMA announces $20 million for U.S. citizens in need of vast amounts of support because they've lost everything. They've lost their cars. They've lost their homes. They've lost all their possessions. They barely hung on with their lives. There's some that are still, unaccounted for. And there's $20 million towards that relief effort. I'm sure there's going to be more. But relatively speaking, they announced $157 million for a crisis assistance in Lebanon. And I read another report where I believe Lebanon itself has received over $300 million in just the last year. So this isn't the end of just the Lebanese assistance as well. And that's where your government stands. Now, there's been also a lot of issues about whether or not the government has been funding from FEMA funds, whether or not they've been funding the illegals or not. And this was a little bit cleared up today when Maria Bartiromo on her show, she had Tulsi Gabbard on, and they discussed this clip from 2022 where Karine Jean-Pierre actually says that that's the case. Take a listen.
The White House is trying to tell us that no, this is two different pools of money. We didn't use FEMA money for the illegals, but Karine Jean-Pierre actually told us what they were doing back in 2022. Watch this. It's absolutely outrageous. Listen.
FEMA regional administrators have been meeting with city officials on site to coordinate available federal support from FEMA and other federal agencies. Funding is also available through FEMA's emergency food and shelter program to eligible local governments and non-for-profit organizations upon request to support humanitarian relief for migrants. We'll continue to do what we can as a federal government to support these cities as we rebuild our asylum processing system after it was gutted by the Trump administration.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Busted and busted again, Tulsi. She just told us what she was doing in 2022. They've actually cleaned out the money because they gave it to illegals. Is this incompetence, or do they just not care?
They just don't care. That's what it is. We're going to be right back with Major General retired Paul Vallely to discuss the Israeli occupation, also get his response to the hurricane relief effort. So stay tuned. We got a lot to cover tonight. This is Jeannie Ives with The Real Story.
Tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year featuring Dr. Sebastian Gorka, economist Stephen Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Best Dental Group of Bartlett, the Michael Alfaro Radio Show, Woodland Windows and Doors, and by Quick Delivery Service.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I saw a Balance of Nature commercial. I said, I'm going to try this stuff out. So I got it. I'm going to take those capsules. And I'm going like, oh my goodness. I really truly believe that this stuff is really pretty remarkable.
I love this product. I really do. I think it's fantastic. I tell everybody that I think it's fantastic. So like I said, everything that they say on the TV about it is absolutely true.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
We now return to The Real Story. Here's your host, Jeannie Ives.
All right. Thanks for joining me tonight. Appreciate you coming on and listening in. And I want to get right to it. We've got Major General retired Paul Vallely on the phone. He is, of course, he was retired as the Deputy Commanding General of the U.S. Army in Pacific in Honolulu, Hawaii. He graduated from the United States Military Academy. Yay! Go Army. By the way, they had a great game again, which is great. They're undefeated. He is a graduate of the Infantry School, Ranger and Airborne Schools, Jump Master School, Command and General Staff College, and you name it, he's done it all. He is, and now he does something called Stand Up America U.S. Project. It was founded in 2005 by him, and it's a public policy research organization formed for the purpose of promoting the discussion of principles found in the United States Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, and its application of those principles to present public policy issues. His latest book, Dismantling of America. He's also written Invisible Treason in America, America's Endgame for the 21st Century, and Beyond Treason, the Aftermath of Destruction. Before we get to talking about Israel, and I want your opinion on exactly how they're waging that war and what they're doing, because I think they're doing a great job. I just want your response to whether or not you felt like the Biden and Harris administration has called up an adequate response to the hurricane disaster relief from the 82nd Airborne and other units in the military. Should they be doing more? Should they be calling up more? Or do you feel like what they've called up so far is enough? And that is that they've called in about 1,000 folks from the 18th Airborne Corps to help out.
Are we on, Jeannie?
Yes, we are. Yes, I was just wondering what you felt of the response from the military so far on the disaster relief in the hurricane.
Well, here's how I come down on that. First of all, you have a chain of command. You've got FEMA, Federal Emergency Management. You got the military. Now you have a 3-star and a 2-star at Fort Bragg. You have a 2-star Army National Guard. Within 24 hours, they should have been operational. Now, if they don't get any direct direction from the hierarchy, from the White House to Homeland Security to FEMA, then they should take action because they work for the American people. Their oath and duty is to the American people to protect them. That's what our military is all about. Mm-hmm. And if you have an ineffective, non-operational chain of command like we have with Biden and Harris at the White House, and then the traitor Mayorkas at the Department of Homeland Security, you know it's been dysfunctional for 4 years. Yeah. And so those generals should have taken the initiative to get their helicopters moving food, moving medical supplies within at least 48 hours. Because that, you know, they can mobilize within an hour. They can get ships moving, helicopters moving within an hour on standby. And that's all in the operational guide that they have within their headquarters. So that's where I come down on that.
Well, wow, you cleared up a lot, but I'll tell you what, one person we don't have to worry about taking action swift as it can be is Bibi Netanyahu, who seems to be completely in control as Biden and Harris are not in control. I'm just going to play a small clip of what his latest message is to the Iranian people when it comes to this conflict. Let's just listen for a minute.
I speak a lot about the leaders of Iran, yet at this pivotal moment, I want to address you, the people of Iran. I want to do so directly, without filters, without middlemen. Every day, you see a regime that subjugates you make fiery speeches about defending Lebanon, defending Gaza. Yet every day, that regime plunges our region deeper into darkness and deeper into war. Every day, their puppets are eliminated. Ask Mohammed Dev. Ask Nasrallah. There is nowhere in the Middle East Israel cannot reach. There is nowhere we will not go to protect our people and protect our country. With every passing moment, the regime is bringing you, the noble Persian people, closer to the abyss. The vast majority of Iranians know their regime doesn't care a whit about them.
Okay, we'll stop right there. He spoke directly to the Iranian people in that clip, and he is definitely in control of the situation at this point. Would you say? I mean, this is a speech that we probably haven't heard something as similar as we did from boy, and I'm blanking on his name, Churchill back in World War II. So, what do you think is going to? What's Bibi's next move? What's going to happen here? Hello? Paul?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what's Bibi's next move in this situation?
Well, the next move will be probably targets of their command and control. It could be to take out their leaders. They have Mossad agents in Tehran. Mossad has been in there for years working. And they have the Karg Island oil production facilities. Now, Joel McInerney and I, having looked at that, and we're in Israel several years ago where we met Bibi and had sessions with him, that they ought to take down the oil production facilities. That'll bring Tehran to their knees because of revenues that are coming in. And they're also feeding the oil into China. So that's a possibility. Now, the nuclear sites, we're not even sure they're up and running or operational. But we do know the oil production facilities are. It's just like Ploiesti in Czechoslovakia, World War II, where we took it out and brought the Nazi war machine almost to a halt. So that's a strategy that I would use from a military strategist standpoint.
Okay, so I mean, I don't disagree. I was listening to to Verdict with Ted Cruz, and he essentially said, previous to this, when Trump was in office, the Iranians were producing 300,000 barrels of oil a day, and now they're up to 2 million barrels of oil today, and 80% of that is going to China. And so you do wonder about the weakness of the Biden-Harris regime in this case. I imagine you would agree that Beatty's correct to just not even call them into the room about any of the actions he intends to take.
Absolutely. I would not discuss anything with Blinken, Harris, who's not engaging anywhere other than out doing some shows on TV, and Biden's back and forth at the beach in Delaware. He's definitely in the closet. He's not operational, as we'd call it in the military, Jeannie. I mean, I just can't believe our country, great country that we have, is so lacking in leadership that's why we have to put President Trump back in next month. Coming very soon, by the way.
So you sent me, after we were talking about some things, you sent me this information called Cyrus Force. Do you want to just give my listeners a sense of what's going on here? This is coming from the Iranian Americans.
Yes, this is a group of American Iranians who have put together an organization called Cyrus Force after Cyrus the Great Persian leader. And they have organized and actually prepared a whole new constitution for Iran, to bring democracy back to Iran. They have input coming in from them. They're in the United States, but they have a lot of intelligence connections within Iran. And it's headed up by, I don't want to give his name, but he's a very good friend. I've been to Paris, met with the Iranian dissidents over there, and they're very strong and they're very well organized, but they don't have any type of armed organization, for example, within Iran that they can work with. The Iranian people have been put down so much, arrested, hung, absolutely tortured, but the mullahs they're religious people. They're not strategists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, and we know the generals over there aren't very damn good. They've never fought a war they won. That's why they use proxies. Iraq and Saddam Hussein kicked their ass when they fought them. Excuse my language. The lower commands that have been passed to me from Cyrus forces, they're not very good. Bibi has to worry about Yemen and the Houthis. He still has Gaza, and he has Hezbollah in southern Lebanon.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Israel must. I mean, obviously consider that this time in their history, there is an existential threat to their sovereignty. They got a two-front war going on. No doubt. I mean, everybody believes that they have the military prowess to end this in their favor. Do you feel that this is a tipping point, though? We've seen these green revolutions before in Iran. They've petered out before. Do you feel like we're at a tipping point maybe where Netanyahu can actually take out the Ayatollahs, bring peace to the Middle East in a way that we've never seen before?
Well, I'm not sure about peace, because it seems all they want to do is fight and cause chaos over there, all of these Islamic organizations, But I think he knows he can neuter Iran, and badly, as Trump did when he was president. So you can take them out of play, and that's what needs to be done. They need to be taken out of play. Mm-hmm. Just like in a football game, you take out the quarterback.
Well, I mean, if he were to take out the Ayatollah or his
Right.
senior leadership, that definitely would be probably a game changer. Perhaps you would get an uprising then from the Iranian people, but even then, those could be easily squashed from within. Major General Paul Vallely, I want to thank you so much for coming on and giving us your insight on both these situations. First, the hurricane relief, and then also Bibi Netanyahu's offensive against Hezbollah. I really appreciate your insight. This is The Real Story with Jeannie Ives.
Charlie Kirk sees chaos hurting Harris.
Israeli military says Iran has fired missiles at Israel. This is not politically good for Kamala Harris.
Not at all.
I mean, and so you have dock worker chaos and then potential regional Middle East war. This plays into Donald Trump's benefit. Understand that the Biden-Harris regime has indirectly subsidized both sides.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Fox News, I'm Paul Stevens. Florida bracing for Hurricane Milton.
Current estimates are that it has the potential to be a major hurricane when it makes landfall in the middle of the week. Yesterday, I signed executive order declaring a state of emergency. We had 34 counties. We now have expanded that in light of the forecast to 51 counties.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis tomorrow, Monday, marking 1 year since the deadly October 7th attack by Hamas on Israel.
There are 7 Americans still being held, including my son. The U.S. government must use all its influence and power to bring them home. Israel and the international community have the strength to make this happen, but we need action, and we need it now.
Yael Alexander is the mother of American hostage Edan Alexander. She spoke earlier today in New York. America is listening to Fox News.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. Things are changing rapidly in the Middle East. Israel has virtually destroyed Hamas. The campaign against Hezbollah began in earnest with the pager attack. Then we saw the elimination of Hassan Nasrallah and his entire top leadership, along with the destruction of vast amounts of stockpiles of what were supposed to be the A-team of terrorism. Israel is no doubt destroying in a few weeks what Iran has been building for decades. The mullahs in Iran are feeling very threatened. The ballistic missile attack of Tuesday was a move of a weak and desperate regime. After Prime Minister Netanyahu's July visit to Congress and his snub by the possible next president when Kamala Harris skipped it, seems clear that the PM returned to Israel resolved to prosecute Israel's seven-front war on his terms, not those of the United States. Whatever Biden and Harris said to Netanyahu in July, unless it was go get him, the Israeli prime minister has decided to protect his people. May God give Israel a swift and decisive victory.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home. Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
The Real Story with Jeannie Ives continues on AM 560. The Answer.
Welcome. Thanks for joining me Sunday night. It is Jeannie Ives. This is The Real Story. And if you're driving around, do not turn the dial. We've got so much to discuss. And the next topic is really going to be all about the CCP-backed Goshen deal. There was a massive roundtable hearing in Manteno with Congressman LaHood and Congressman Molinar and another congressman from Indiana. I don't have quite his name on the tip of my tongue right now. And a couple of other folks that just gave great testimony. And if you think you're getting screwed over by your government, wait till you hear this. Wait till you hear this, because Governor Pritzker is screwing you over. And he is threatening our way of life. And he's playing favorites. Everything that's bad about government is bad in this deal. Everything. I've got a lot to follow up on that one, but first we're going to take this call from Eduardo in Tampa Bay. Eduardo, thank you so much for joining me on The Real Story.
Yeah, good evening, Jeannie. Real quickly, I wanted to say that, we're getting ready for Milton. That's coming up. Right now they're saying it's heading towards Fort Myers, but we'll still get some heavy rain here in Tampa. But Mrs. Harris is not looking good on this recovery, like you were just talking. And this is not going to be good for the polls. I mean, she's coming back from the fundraiser, and then President Biden is at the beach. Mr. Trump is looking good on this because he got there first. He's showing more leadership on this than the Biden-Harris campaign.
Oh, I mean, yeah, no doubt. And what do you, I mean, obviously, Florida, you guys are solidly going to be in the red column here. But, it is interesting. Like I had mentioned before, Politico is kind of, saying, hey, you know what? The Republican part of North Carolina was the one hardest hit. Who knows if those folks can get to the polls? Hey, you better stop cheering Politico, because on the flip side, when North Carolinians that are independent figure out how the federal government botched the recovery effort, you know what? That's not going to go your way at all. That will not play to the Democrats' favor.
We can't forget that $1.4 billion given to the illegals from FEMA. So that's a big black eye on the incumbent party.
Yes, and people on the ground there, they see it, they know what's going on, and so I mean, and also Georgia got hit too. And where does Trump show up? He showed up right up in Georgia there. So I think that actually, you don't like to make political points off of a disaster. Nobody likes to do that, but at the same time, your response as a government to the needs of your people are what people are going to judge your government on. There's just no doubt about it, and they should. They absolutely should. So, Eduardo, I want to thank you so much for that phone call.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening, everyone.
You too. Thanks for listening. If you do want to have other comments to make, it's 312-642-5600 is the phone number here. Happy to take your comments tonight. Listen, getting back to this whole Goshen deal, the roundtable in Manteno, if you had listened to the roundtable, about an hour and a half worth of testimony, if you had just simply soaked all that in and understood what was going on in this deal, you would be so appalled that you would be crawling to your elected official and saying, rescind this deal now, pull back now. Everybody should be saying that. I'm just going to play a few clips here because I think that everybody should know what's going on here. This is LaHood on the CCP threat.
Since being appointed to the Select Committee, one of the most important insights that I've learned is that the CCP has infiltrated many aspects of America and continues to do that. China continues to play by a different set of rules and standards than every other industrialized country in the world. Even though our economies are intertwined economically, they continue to steal our intellectual property. They continue to exercise what's called wolf warrior diplomacy across the globe, where what do they tell other countries? Democracy doesn't work anymore. You can't trust the United States. So they continue to undermine us. What they're doing in the South China Sea with the provocation there it is problematic, and what they continue to do with our allies there, which again brings us to our discussion here today.
Okay, so that was part of his opening comments at the round table, but he went on to say so much more, and here's him absolutely sealing the deal, letting you know that that Goshen is tied to forced labor. So did you really want your taxpayers to go to a company tied to forced labor in China? Is that what you expect? And especially you Democrats, you folks who seem to want to say that you care more about humanity than the other side. Did you really want your tax dollars to go to forced labor in China? Well, LaHood flat out tells you exactly that that's happening.
In our extensive work on the China Committee, we have found troubling links between Goshen, the Communist Chinese Party, and forced labor. In recent filings, Goshen has claimed it was, quote, wholly owned and controlled by, unquote, its parent company, Goshen High-Tech, which is headquartered in China. According to Goshen High-Tech's own bylaws, the company is required to, quote, carry out party activities in accordance with the Constitution of the Chinese Communist Party, unquote. In June of this year, our committee uncovered links to forced labor between Goshen and the CCP, including findings that, one, Goshen sources aluminum foil from a subsidiary of Xinjiang Nefarious, a CCP state-owned enterprise known for its prolific use of forced labor, including forced housing of Hong men and Uyghur women and their families in the Xinjiang region of China. Goshen sources material from Xinjiang Joint World, which is a company that participated in, quote, poverty alleviation through labor transfer. Again, an ambiguous way of saying forced labor and education camps that they have implemented in the Xinjiang region. This kind of activity is unacceptable and raises serious concerns about the intentions of Goshen here in the United States. We know that the CCP and President Xi have an agenda to challenge the United States economic leadership and are determined to maintain their market-dominant position on critical mineral and battery supply chains.
Okay, there you go. So why is that important? Because you've got Pritzker on the other side saying that we're conspiracy theorists, saying that actually, no, it's not a big deal. They're not tied to China. They're an American company. Well, their American VP, Chuck Thalen, was invited to come to this hearing. And of course, he didn't show, just like he didn't show in Michigan. But Congressman Molinar brought out a couple different points. And one is that he noted that just 2 days before this hearing, there were 5 Chinese nationals who were students at the University of Michigan that are now facing federal charges related to alleged espionage activities at Camp Grayling, a Michigan National Guard base. That's right. So we should be concerned that these guys are setting up shop near our own Air National Guard base as well. Apparently, these Chinese nationals had cameras in the position, raising suspicions about their intentions. While they claimed to be there to observe a meteor shower, their presence coincided with military exercises involving Taiwanese forces. This has led authorities to believe they were engaged in espionage. The charges against them include conspiracy, lying to federal investigators, and destroying evidence. The incident has heightened concerns about potential Chinese government efforts to gather intelligence on U.S. military activities and technology. It also brings attention to the ongoing debate surrounding Chinese investment in the United States, particularly near sensitive locations like military bases and critical infrastructure. Well, that describes exactly the Manteno Goshen plant. Exactly. And Molinar also noted this before we go to break. I want to play this clip.
You should know that the brave men and women of our military want nothing to do with Goshen, as the Department of Defense is prohibited from buying the company's batteries. So why would we allow this company to receive tax dollars, buy our land, and build a factory here? Why would we allow its batteries into our homes, into our cars? Our own military is telling us Goshen is a bad business partner, and yet state and local officials refuse to listen.
All right, with that, we're going to go to break. I'll be right back. This is Jeannie Ives with The Real Story.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
My husband's a retired cop, and I worked in a hospital for years. I'm going out right now because I'm getting ready to paint my fence. It's just literally amazing. And, you know, you watch the TV articles and you go, yeah. Well, at least it's 100% returnable if it doesn't work. I'm not kidding you. It is the most amazing product I've ever taken.
I love it. I love the product. And not only the product, the people that work for them, too, are really nice. That's another plus. It's the best product on the market.
I think it's a good product, so that's the reason I'll continue to take it.
It's a wonderful product. I'm trying to get as many people as I can to take it.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
Your local State Farm agent, Anthony DeGrotto, combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. You can combine your home, auto, and life insurance to not only save you money, but give you the peace of mind you've been looking for. Anthony DeGrotto is your go-to agent in Chicagoland. He and his team will work for you to provide the best service you expect at the price you want. Combine your home, auto, and life insurance today. Anthony DeGrotto will help you mix and match things perfectly. His State Farm office is a top pick 2024 Daily Herald Reader's Choice Award winner. He's a proud supporter of Tunnel to Towers and like-minded as you. His State Farm agency is currently looking to add members at their Roselle office. Call Anthony at 847-895-1500 today or visit DeGrottoSF.com. That's DeGrottoSF.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
Now, more of The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
And welcome back. This is Jeannie Ives. Again, the phone number here, 312-642-5600 if you want to weigh in the conversation. And we are still talking about that Goshen deal because of that hearing that was in Manteno this week. And we appreciate the congressman actually traveling to the site of where the Goshen plant is going to be and really supporting the citizens of Manteno, the concerned citizens of Manteno who are suing not just Goshen, but also their local village over the permitting and the nuisance issues related to that Goshen plant. We really do appreciate them, the congressman coming in and highlighting this issue. And everybody should be paying attention. This is your tax money at work. It is picking and choosing winners and losers in the marketplace. And it's much more than that. It's actually picking China, our number one military and economic adversary, our enemy, actually, quite frankly, our enemy, and picking them and giving them hundreds of millions of dollars of tax breaks and not allowing, and just allowing them to compete against us. Everything about it is so bad. Okay, more on that from LaHood. Here's LaHood about Pritzkers and, deplorable Pritzker. Instead of calling us deplorable, Congressman LaHood turns the tables.
Well, I believe we should consider every opportunity available to bring new businesses and more jobs to Illinois. It is simply deplorable that governors like J.B. Pritzker and Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan have decided to leave taxpayers on the hook for what could end up being billions of dollars in federal and state subsidies funneling to companies beholden to the malign actors like the CCP. It is also important to point out that companies like Goshen that are protected by the CCP would never allow U.S. citizens to work anywhere near their sensitive material or intellectual property. So while this new plant will create some new jobs in the area, it will also require Chinese nationals to move to Illinois to ensure their trade secrets are protected.
And we know that they are moving to Illinois. We know from the residents in Manteno, they've been watching these folks. They've apparently bought up single-family homes and are putting 7 to 9 Chinese males in these homes, and they're working at the Goshen plant. This is what their neighborhoods are being turned over to. Now, not entirely, but it's enough to cause some worry. Let's be quite frank. But Emily De La Brura, she is an expert in this area. She works for the Defense of Democracy. So she's a China expert. She's worked on the Center for Economic and Financial Power, Center on Cyber and Security and Technology Innovation, Center on Military and Political Power, the China Program and International Organizations for the Foundation for the Defense of Democracy. So she's done that. She also works for Horizon Advisory, a consulting firm focused on the implication of China's competitive approach to geopolitics. And she actually laid out exactly why is China why are they doing what they're doing? Not only just to grab billions of dollars in tax subsidies because they can, because it was written into the Inflation Reduction Act, but they have a much bigger agenda than just simply grabbing onto our money. Let's listen to what she says.
What Beijing wants is control. China wants to secure the dependence of the rest of the world, to make sure that we rely on China for everything from energy and batteries to semiconductors. Therefore, that countries can't make things without China and that companies can't make money without China. If Beijing can do this, that grants it leverage that it can use to access markets and technology, to influence political and economic systems, and ultimately to coerce. Beijing has shown that it is very willing to use its industrial capacity and its supply chain leverage to achieve its geopolitical ambitions. In this effort, China starts at the upstream, the beginning of value chains, and then works downstream to the more advanced, higher value add things at the end of the value chains. For example, take the battery and the EV supply chain. China starts with the critical minerals and metals that batteries are made out of, establishes monopolies over core inputs into batteries so that battery makers come to depend on China. Once battery makers depend on China, Beijing suddenly has access to their technology. China can use that to incubate companies that get state subsidies and that have preferred access to the critical inputs China controls, so that they can, I don't want to say outcompete because it's not really competition, but so that they can destroy their international competitors.
And that's what they're after. They're there to destroy their competitors in every way and to own the market in this critical technology. So we can't let them do that. But of course, our government is letting them do that. And they're doing it in a very corrupt way. Robbie Doobie, the lawyer for the concerned citizens of Manteno, gave testimony as well. I'm going to play you his first clip where that I pulled, where he talks about what happened in Michigan and the corruption surrounding the Goshen deal up there. Take a listen. And the reason we're playing these is because if you hear it, you'll get mad enough to do something about it too. You'll get upset enough to actually go to your state rep, including Republican state reps who are fine, just A-OK with the Goshen deal and the hundreds of millions of dollars that Pritzker has guaranteed them. If your state rep's in that category, you need to be all over them after listening to this tape. And again, if you go to my website, breakthrough-ideas.com, tomorrow I should have, if the YouTube's not up there already, I will have the entire YouTube up there of this hearing. But go ahead and listen to Robbie Doobie, the lawyer for the concerned citizens of Manteno.
In Green Charter, the story was even more egregious. Goshen Inc., a CCP subsidiary that originally tried to build a project in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, before the community there kicked them out for being a national security concern, is seeking to build a dangerous lithium battery plant. It, too, is receiving millions in state subsidies and federal tax breaks. Depositions have revealed that board members were promised jobs by Goshen, offered trips to China, and as Rep. Molinar mentioned, one even had a $2 million offer on his $180,000 property by Goshen, all undisclosed to the public and undisclosed to the board, that voted then to facilitate the plan. In this case, I represented a citizen group that tried multiple avenues to get the federal and state government to investigate the plant, all of which were rebuffed. In one almost comical example, the Fish and Wildlife Services would not even step in to stop Goshen from tearing down trees that hosted America's national symbol, bald eagles.
Talk about inept. And where are the environmentalists about the Goshen deal? Where are they? Helping regular citizens who are concerned about the environmental impact to their water supply. They're nowhere. They're nowhere to be found because they think this green energy stuff is what's going to save them from some sort of climate crisis that is all made up, and which for which there's little that can be done because there's larger movements within the atmosphere, within the sun, within the oceans that are creating the warming. If there's noticeable warming at all. By the way, the greening of America, the greening of elsewhere may actually be beneficial to the growth of crops. But, who's looking at that as actually a benefit? They're not. Again, here's Robbie Doobie more about the local officials' corruption.
Goshen had the village board sign NDAs as members of the Separate Development Alliance, stopping these elected officials from speaking to the public. When I asked the board to conduct and request a full Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, CFIUS, review, they refused.
Okay, we're going to have more from Robbie about all that after this break, and we'll be right back. This is Jeannie Ives with The Real Story.
Attention parents, your child may be eligible for extra food benefits this summer thanks to a new program. The Summer EBT program will provide $120 per eligible child for families to buy groceries when school is out. These benefits are in addition to free summer meals available at schools, camps, and parks. To learn more about Summer EBT and if your child qualifies, please visit WeGotYouIllinois.org. Sponsored by the Illinois Commission to End Hunger, aired in cooperation with this station and the Illinois Broadcasters Association.
Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combines heritage and innovation in every cup. Our coffee is locally roasted, hot air roasted, and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Whether you prefer a 12-ounce bag or a 28-ounce bag, or even the convenience of K-Cups, you'll find Papa Nicholas Coffee at your local retailer. Taste the difference that 5 generations of expertise brings. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee, because great coffee is our family tradition. Visit online at papanicholas.com. That's papanicholas.com.
We now return to The Real Story. Here's your host, Jeannie Ives.
All right. Well, as my listeners know, this Goshen topic is something that I could talk about all day long, and I just can't get enough of it because it's just such a debacle. It just ticks me off. But by the way, where was Pritzker? Where was Pritzker when the entire roundtable was going on? Oh, well, the governor was at the Frank Holton State Park in East St. Louis to announce that the Illinois Department of Natural Resources will be installing 40 chargers, electrical vehicle chargers, at state parks, historic sites, museums, beaches, and other widely used public areas. This is according to a WGEM report. Now, this is a complete waste of money. And by the way, you're paying for it. So Illinois is spending at least $50 million to install these chargers. The article says EV Box donated the 40 chargers, but that I don't believe that. I believe they got a huge contract to put in chargers elsewhere, and they just gave them these 40 chargers. But guess what Pritzker said at the end of it? He said, hey, you know what? You can charge at these state parks for free. Well, the electricity isn't free. Guess what? You, the taxpayer, are paying for it. You, the ratepayer, are paying for it. So there you go. That's your government doubling down on bad ideas. That's Governor Pritzker. Instead of listening to the threat of Goshen to our national security, he's given away free electricity at chargers that nobody's going to use in state parks. We'll be right back.
Of BestHotGrill.com. You've heard about our Solaire infrared grills at BestHotGrill.com, but did you know we also make the best gas logs for your fireplace? You've probably seen Rasmussen gas logs and fireballs on TV and in the movies. We've got sizes to fit all fireplaces, styles to fit every decor, and we even do custom designs for large and unusual fireplaces. Lighting these logs is as easy as pushing a button. Realistic Rasmussen gas logs look great even when the fire is off. For regions prone to power outages, gas logs are an excellent source of emergency heat with no electricity required. We've been making them since the 50s, so you can buy a Rasmussen gas log with confidence. So go to BestHotGrill.com to find the products you need to keep you warm inside and outside of your home while eating great grilled food. Learn more at BestHotGrill.com. That's BestHotGrill.com. BestHotGrill.com.
News, opinion, insight. This is AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app. Or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer, Chicago.
Another hurricane. I'm Paul Stevens, Fox News. Hurricane Milton churning across the Gulf of Mexico with Florida clearly in its sights.
The impacts of the storm are expected to start hitting Florida's west coast late Tuesday or early Wednesday, with potentially life-threatening storm surge, damaging winds, and torrential rain. State Emergency Management Director Kevin Guthrie told reporters,
"We are preparing, and I have the State Emergency Response Team preparing for the largest evacuation that we have seen, most likely since 2017 Hurricane Irma."
Milton is expected to march across the peninsula and hit the east coast of the state later in the week. The National Hurricane Center warned some areas may get up to 12 inches of rain, and this is happening as many communities are still clearing out the destruction left by Hurricane Helene. Jill Nato, Fox News.
And to that extent, with Helene, President Biden ordering another 500 active duty troops to the North Carolina mountains at the request of Governor Roy Cooper. That puts about 1,500 soldiers in the western part of the state, along with more than 6,100 National Guardsmen. Former President Trump holding a rally in the battleground state of Wisconsin today, with a month to go before the election. Mr. Trump attacking his opponent, Vice President Kamala Harris, calling out the federal response to help the victims of Hurricane Helene.
This is the worst response to a storm or a catastrophe or a hurricane that we've ever seen, ever.
And the White House says it's doing all it can in this situation. A Frontier Airlines flight landing Saturday at Harry Reid International Airport in Las Vegas experienced an emergency. Flames and heavy smoke were seen coming from the plane as it made its way across the tarmac. A spokesperson for Frontier telling Fox Flight 1326 from San Diego to Las Vegas landed safely. Nobody was hurt. No word on a cause yet of that emergency. America's listening to Fox News.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Tonight, clear and cooler, reaching a low of 48. Plenty of sunshine tomorrow, high 67. Clear tomorrow night, low 49. Tuesday, beautiful with plenty of sunshine, high 72. Tuesday night, clear with a low of 48. Wednesday, pleasant with plenty of sunshine, high 73. Wednesday night, clear with a low of 52. I'm Jillian Ford on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Hut, hut. Listen up and listen up good. If you're tired of run-of-the-mill gifts, then get on over to aviatorfuel.com. You'll find unique military-style cocktail books and barware to go with it. At aviatorfuel.com, we've got the perfect gift for any soldier, sailor, Marine, or just red-blooded American. You'll especially love our military cocktail checklists, modeled off the real Army, Navy, and Marine pilot checklists that military aviators have used for decades. These award-winning books are authentic replicas, but instead of a procedure on how to handle an engine fire, you'll find the procedure for how to make a mojito, written with military jargon throughout. So pick up a cocktail checklist from aviatorfuel.com. Invite some old friends to share war stories over cocktails. Your perfect libation is inside the cocktail checklist. And don't forget matching military-themed barware. Go to aviatorfuel.com and get ready to raise a glass to the brave men and women who serve our country. That's aviatorfuel.com.
This is Sean Thompson for Donley Auctions. Donley Auctions wants your stuff. They have buyers. They need your items. If you're a collector, contact them and find out the market value. If you know a collector, tell Donley about them. If they sell it, you'll get a Donley's Finder fee. Cha-ching, cash in your pocket. Randy, what are you on the hunt for now?
We need collectibles for our auction, and you need some extra cash. Not sure what you have? Call us. We know the value, and then you can make the decision. With our worldwide auction audience, we get top dollar. Here's your chance to add some additional money when you need it. 815-923-7000, 815-923-7000. Check us out at DonleyAuctions.com.
Do you have any of these? Call Donley. You know anyone that has any of these things? Call Donley and get Donley's Finder's fee. Donley Auctions, 815-923-7000. Tell them Sean sent you.
As a local business owner, you get called every week by marketing companies. We get it. We have hundreds of satisfied customers. Here's what a satisfied client recently said.
Open enrollment is going great. We're hitting record numbers. Thank you so much for this report. It really is amazing to see how the marketing is really shaping our enrollment around the city.
If you're a local business and ready for the next step, visit surroundchicago.com right now. Our experts are ready to help you take your marketing to the next level. Visit surroundchicago.com today.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
AM 560, The Answer. We now return to the real story. Here's your host, Jeannie Ives.
Welcome back. We are moving the Watchdogs segment just a little bit earlier tonight to accommodate my guest in my next half hour, which is going to be Marc Joffe. He's with the Cato Institute, and we're going to talk about those tax subsidies like the ones we gave Goshen and Rivian, $827 million. Well, Cato did a fantastic study on that, and they essentially say, guess what? They don't really add up. They promise a lot of things, and government officials seem to like all these tax subsidies. Actually, they don't make a big difference in economic development or in jobs created. So we're going to talk to him, the author, one of the authors of that study, at 8:35. So we moved the Watchdogs up a little bit, and Kirk is going to be joining us, I believe, in a few minutes. And George, if you could let me know when he joins us, that'd be great, because I want to talk to both of them about kind of the things that are going on with Goshen and a few other stuff in the relief at the hurricane. I want to talk about in terms of just what they've experienced with government and their response to people's needs. But ahead of that, we do have John on the line. John, welcome to the program. Thanks for joining me tonight.
Thanks, Jeannie.
Yeah, great. Hey, so you had a couple of interesting stories, I thought, and one of them was you were going to talk about compensation setting ordinances. And by the way, it'd really be great if you have questions for John or Kirk during this half hour. We'd love to take your phone calls, 312-642-5600, and you can ask them directly while they're on the line. Your question about what local government should or shouldn't be doing in your situation. They're very knowledgeable on Illinois government. So, John, back to you.
Yeah, I have something related to NDAs also, but related to the compensation setting ordinance for elected officials of any unit of local government. The ordinance is supposed to be set the compensation of the position of the village trustee or the township trustee or the township supervisor, not setting the ordinance compensation based on, if the incumbent gets reelected and they're on their fourth term, they get 3 times as much as a first-term person. It doesn't work that way. And there was a township in Will County that was trying to do just that. They wanted to raise an assessor's salary from $62,000 to $95,000 and make any newly elected assessor come in at $40,000.
And what was the reason for that? What was the underlying reason? Why would they want to change that compensation?
They wanted to keep any new person from challenging the current assessor, obviously.
Yeah, so they felt like if it was only $40,000, then the person would decline to run for the position because it wouldn't be worth it.
Yeah, Tiffany Henry tried that in Thornton Township,
yes.
and it didn't work. They revoked that one. Well, state passed a law prohibiting it, but they revoked that one a couple months ago. They're getting ready to pass a new one. putting it flat across the board. But this township I just talked about, it will vote next week or this coming week on a salary resolution that is the same for everybody, no matter how many terms of office they're in. And so we convinced them to do the right thing and not turn into another Tiffany Henyard.
Well, I mean, that's so. Did you convince them? Did you basically went in there and said, if you do that, we'll be contacting the AG because what you're attempting to do is completely illegal? Or did they just do it on their own?
We had some conversations with some people who had conversations with them, and they decided to do it on their own.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great.
Which is good. It's really good when people do that.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean that's fine. But it's kind of interesting that their own lawyer didn't know that. Again, we're back to their lawyers. You know more than the lawyers that are supposed to be advising these local boards.
I wouldn't surprise me if the lawyer never looked at it, but we have found in local governments that the lawyers typically do whatever the board members want them to do. And they say, well, hell, if it's wrong, somebody will sue us and they'll have to prove it in court.
Yeah.
If it's wrong, they know it's wrong.
Yeah.
And it can't,
of course they do.
Can't continue to happen that way.
Yeah. Well, we are waiting on Kirk, but you know what? I'm going to play this clip again because I think it's just so important to talk about this. And so again, this is Robbie Doobie about local officials and what they're doing behind people's backs. So take a listen, and then John, I want your reaction on this. Oh, I can't hear it. Is it playing?
Board to conduct and request a full Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, CFIUS, review. They refused, apparently having no interest in finding out whether Goshen was a national security threat. Throughout all this, the pattern has been the same. These CCP subsidiary companies obtain tens of millions of dollars in government subsidies, your money, before they've even broken ground on their planned projects. They promise to bring jobs while repeatedly downward revising those numbers and salaries and bringing in non-U.S. citizens to take those jobs. All the while, the local government refuses to listen to its citizens, calling them racist, ignorant, or opposed to progress, instead of recognizing them for the heroes that they are.
Okay, that was the second part of the clip that I had started with. Let me play the first part of that again.
Goshen had the village board sign NDAs as members of the Separate Development Alliance, stopping these elected officials from speaking to the public. When I asked the board to conduct and request a full Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, CFIUS, review, they refused.
Okay, so John, you heard that part. They conducted this interview completely through an NDA. I mean, they did the deal through an NDA. Now, to me, that's just basically skirting our Open Meetings Act.
Well, I will say this, Jeannie. Okay. That is the reason why we always say, if you're the only person in opposition on a board, stay there, do not resign, stay on that board, because they cannot sign your First Amendment rights away. And you can't even sign your First Amendment rights away. Mm-hmm. And Can I talk about the Mount Pulaski School Board for?
Yes, we have time for that. Yes, absolutely.
It's similar to an NDA, but this is under a guise of an agreement, a wind farm project support agreement. We knew these type of agreements were happening. We just never got an actual physical copy of one until somebody on this school board sent us a copy. And here's what it did. The school board, in order to obtain $12 million over a 25-year period, the board had to sign their rights away for 25 years. And here's what they could not do. Well, here, they had to sign a resolution in support of the project. This is the Meridian Wind Farm project. The school superintendent or board president had to go speak in favor of wind farms at any and all public meetings that they were requested to attend. They had to issue press releases after approved by Meridian in support of wind farms and in support of the terms and conditions of wind farms. No board member could speak in opposition of a wind farm in their official capacity, and any opposing views could not be expressed at the same time as the school board's expression of support in favor of the wind farms. And the school board could never sue or take part in the suit in relation to the wind farm, and the board could never pass any law, ordinance, or regulation that attempted to regulate, limit, or otherwise detrimentally affect the wind farm project. That's a 25-year agreement signing the rights away of everybody on that school board.
And wait, and did they individually, each board member, sign that agreement?
That agreement failed at the next board meeting after we wrote about it. They did
Thank
not.
God.
But this is the same type of agreements that these companies, wind farms, Goshen. I mean, if you FOIA the local governments with your Goshen issue, they probably have some sort of alternate agreements similar to this one.
Well, that's the thing. You can't FOIA them.
These guys could go get all their money back if in year 24 a school board member said, "Hey, I don't like wind turbines." They could go get all the money back from the school district.
But this is the insanity of it. So the mayor of Manteno sits on the Economic Alliance Development Board of Kankakee, or the Kankakee Economic Alliance Board, whatever it is. That board, he sits on that. It's a public-private board. So he and, I think a county board member, 2 elected officials at a minimum are on there. Some business folks are on there as well. And he signed an NDA. Now, I bet you $1 that his NDA says the similar stuff. You can't speak against the Goshen project. You have to be in favor of it. All of this. But we can't find out. We can't find out. We can't get a FOIA on it because it's not a government entity that he sits on, yet he made a deal as an elected official on behalf of his constituents for this massive deal.
Well, I'm going to send a FOIA to the village for a copy of any NDA the mayor signed, and we'll see because...
Well, the village doesn't have it. The NDA is probably in the hands of the Economic Development Alliance and him as an individual, although he made the deal only because he was the mayor of Manteno. Hey, John, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more from the Edgar County Watchdogs on this and much, much more to discuss.
Who's watching me?
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago, Saturday, November 2nd at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Sebastian Gorka, economist Stephen Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by attorney Stephen A. Leahy at Opum Tax Advocates and by Valdecas Incorporated Windows and Doors.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Oh, I have a friend, Julia, who has taken a Balance of Nature now for quite some time. And she said, "Oh, Becky, ask your doctor about taking Balance of Nature." So I talked to my doctor about it, and she said, "Oh, try it."
You know, Balance of Nature is becoming pretty important out there to a lot of people. And when I first started, I was really impressed. I'm a healthcare professional, trained as a pharmacist, so anything that's natural I like, and so it made a lot of sense.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gave Alice, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. 630-830-4930 or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. Things are changing rapidly in the Middle East. Israel has virtually destroyed Hamas. The campaign against Hezbollah began in earnest with the pager attack. Then we saw the elimination of Hassan Nasrallah and his entire top leadership, along with the destruction of vast amounts of stockpiles of what were supposed to be the A-team of terrorism. Israel is no doubt destroying in a few weeks what Iran has been building for decades. The mullahs in Iran are feeling very threatened. The ballistic missile attack of Tuesday was a move of a weak and desperate regime. After Prime Minister Netanyahu's July visit to Congress and his snub by the possible next president when Kamala Harris skipped it, seems clear that the PM return to Israel resolved to prosecute Israel's seven-front war on his terms, not those of the United States. Whatever Biden and Harris said to Netanyahu in July, unless it was go get him, the Israeli Prime Minister has decided to protect his people. May God give Israel a swift and decisive victory.
You're listening to The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
Welcome back. The phone number here, 312-642-5600. On the phone with me still is Edgar County Watchdog co-founder John Kraft. John, thanks so much for joining me tonight. We've been talking a lot about NDAs, and you just opened up our eyes about the deals that particular local governments, in this case that school board, were signing to basically curry favor with a wind farm that was going to pay them $25 million. No, $12 million over 25 years, something like that, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I just, fortunately, because you exposed it, they didn't do it. And so we'd appreciate your help. I'm sure the concerned citizens of Manteno would appreciate your help if you can in any way ferret out the NDA that he admittedly signed. The Village of Manteno mayor admittedly signed just to get the Goshen deal done, and he wasn't the only elected official that signed an NDA. All of this stuff is done behind closed doors. The deal closing fund is done behind closed doors. Governor Pritzker has 100% control over how that money goes out, and it's hundreds of millions of dollars that went out for it. So, if anything, how about a little bit of sunshine, guys? You want to do your deals, do them, and you shouldn't be able to do them behind closed doors.
It needs to be open to the public. I mean, I understand not disclosing trade secrets, but a non-disclosure about contract discussions, those aren't trade secrets.
No, not at all. I mean, a 30-year abatement on taxes where you're getting the property at you're overpaying for the property, one, and then you're saying that you're only going to pay $2 million for that property, and your mayor makes public comments saying that it's going to save Goshen tens of millions of dollars over the life of that agreement. So tens of millions of dollars in 30 years they'll be saving on property taxes, but he won't specify exactly how much, only that it's going to be tens of millions of dollars. That whole deal done behind closed door. And as I pointed out to these folks, look, when you're messing with the assessment on a particular piece of property, especially a very, very large parcel of property, that property wealth is fed in to the funding formula for state distribution of education dollars. So when you skew the assessment at a local level and you say that you only have X amount of property wealth because the assessments are artificially lowered for some economic deal, then you are going to probably getting more state support than you deserve from the state. And so you're screwing over other school districts. And guess what? The problem here is the school districts were all in on it. The mayor went around to every single local district and got approval for the Goshen deal behind closed door and basically swore them to secrecy as well before any of the residents knew about the deal. He went behind their door back and said, I'm going to give them an abatement on property taxes. I'm going to give them a fixed cost for 30 years, $2 million. That's it. At least it's $1 million more than what we're currently getting. But who knows? They should be, given the heft of that particular piece of property and the manufacturing that's going to go on in there, they probably should have been paying $3, $4, $5 million a year. So they got quite the break.
that's why you need good local people on the local boards that you can trust.
Well, it sounds like all of those are corrupt too. They all went along with the deal. Nobody's saying boo. They all went along with it. Nobody revealed anything to the citizens of Manteno.
It happens all the time, and you know, like I talked about with the wind industry. I'm sure other local governments have signed the same types of agreements we just talked about, and we got lucky, and one of them gave us copies. That's how we exposed it. But we'll work and try to get that information on Goshen. So.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to get you guys involved down there. And the other thing is, you know, speaking of these wind farm deals, I've spoken with other folks that are in the know, you know, farmers who are watching other farmers sell out to the wind companies. And also in those deals, which I get it, it's a private deal between a private landowner and the particular wind company. But those deals are also non-disclosure agreements. So the farmer can't actually reveal how much he's getting paid to give up his, you know, his property so that it can become a completely useless wind farm. I mean, solar farm. So those deals are also NDAs.
Yeah, if a private person wants to sign their own personal NDA, more power to them. That's
well, I get, except I do have a little bit of problem with that because so much of this wind and solar development is done on the backs of ratepayers and taxpayers with massive amounts of subsidies that come from taxpayers. Yep. So I do have a problem with that because the only way that they're given, and actually I'm being told now it's not just $1,000 an acre, it's upwards of $3,000 an acre that some farmers are receiving to put a solar farm. That's how profitable these are. So you have 100 acres, you get $3,000 an acre, you get $300,000 a year. You go off to Florida, you don't have to plant, you don't have to cultivate.
Your neighbors,
you don't have to do anything.
To put up with the noise.
Yeah, your neighbors have to put up with the eyesore and the reflection and the glare and the noise and everything else if it's a wind farm.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I mean, but that's exactly what's happening down in central, all parts of Illinois, except for the suburbs where there's no place to put them. So the last thing, though, I did kind of want to cover, and I was hoping that Kirk came on, but I still want your reaction to this as well, is essentially it feels like the government failed to garner the resources quick enough in terms of hurricane relief to North Carolina. And in particularly, this one story of the helicopter pilot who was literally threatened with an arrest if he went back up to the mountain and saved another person. He had already gone up on his own, saved the wife, left his son off of the helicopter because he was worried that the weight might be too much for the ground underneath him and actually prevent him from even taking off. So he had his son hop off of the helicopter. The wife jumped on, and he said, "I'll be back in," it was a 3-minute trip, so I'll be back in 10 minutes to pick you guys up. And he lands, and it was told, like, if you go back up there, we're going to arrest you if you land again. So he went back up there to get his son, and then he left. And he told the man, I literally can't come back for you. And it was a 3-minute ride. So what's going on?
If I was the pilot, I would have probably continued while letting the local agency that's running the rescue operation know what's going on. And I think Kirk sent an email, and he said that you should thank the pilot for his work and ask him to provide you with the information, like the name, tail number, and everything else, so they can be logged in the command center as a civilian rescuer. And that's how you work these issues, because I understand the confusion. If you have 20 or 30 helicopters out there flying around, nobody knows where everybody's at. It's a safety risk. But if they're run through some type of command center where they can get acknowledgments where these people are going, who they're rescuing, what they're doing, then it mitigates some or most of the safety risks involved in rescues.
Well, according to the New York Post article about that particular heroism of this particular guy, that's exactly what he did. He coordinated with the local air traffic control folks and was told, yeah, no problem. You go up there. We're watching you. You've got your flight plan. We know you're up there. Not a problem. So all of that was done. Now I think it's interesting. And my producer George reminded me of this, and it's absolutely apropos. Does everybody remember the Dunkirk evacuation on 26 May to 4 June 1940? It was known as Operation Dynamo. It was the attempt to save the British Expeditionary Force in France from total defeat by an advancing German army. Nearly 1,000 naval and civilian craft of all kinds, aided by calm weather and RAF's air support, managed to evacuate around 340,000 British, French, and Allied soldiers. So what's wrong? What, should Dunkirk not have happened because it wasn't a FEMA organized, effort from start to finish?
Boat lift?
What was that?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
This looks like it was just a local fire chief that made that threat against the chopper pilot. So yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to sort out what's what, but anyway, there's a lot more effort to be put into that. Okay, John, thanks so much for joining me tonight on The Real Story with Jeannie Ives. We'll be right back, and we're going to be talking with Marc Joffe of Cato Institute about those state and local tax incentives. Are they good? Are they bad? We'll find out.
Larry Elder sees the media working for Harris.
We've played you many sound bites of people on the left, media people saying, well, it doesn't really matter that she's not sitting down and doing interviews. Why? Well, Trump. Well, it doesn't really matter that we don't know her economic agenda. Why? Well, Trump. This is just sick. And how a Republican can exist with a media this unfair, you have got to be kidding me.
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Especially in battleground Michigan.
I've said from the very beginning, Michigan's a purple state, and it's going to be a purple state until Election Day. The fact of the matter is, neither candidate has yet to win this state.
Republican Representative Debbie Dingell on Fox's Media Buzz. Abortion remains a key issue for the Democratic presidential candidate.
Right now, this fight for what we need to do around reproductive freedom could it be more at its core about just the basic right any individual of whatever gender has to make decisions about their own body and not have their government tell them what to do?
Vice President Kamala Harris on the podcast, Call Her Daddy. America is listening to Fox News.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home. Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
It's Reveille. A recent ICE report says there are nearly 650,000 illegals either convicted of crimes or pending criminal charges currently living free in America. 10 to 12 million people have entered the country illegally in the last 3 years, and they are being handed thousands in taxpayer support. These illegals include known foreign terrorists and criminals. Yet Americans who play by the rules are getting punished by the immigration system they finance. Listeners may be familiar with the story of my in-laws, Dave and Marietta. After 26 years of living in Australia, first as an Air Force officer and then as a civilian contractor for the DoD, my brother-in-law, David, and his family decided in 2021 to leave Australia and return to the U.S., as Australia had slid into an authoritarian state during COVID. Marietta had unwittingly let her green card lapse. They had assumed when the time came to return to the U.S., it would be a breeze to get it renewed. After all, they had filed over 30 years of U.S. federal tax returns together as a married couple, owned property in the United States, have U.S.-born children, and David is a veteran. They filed the application in March 2022 and now have hit another bureaucratic snafu. A waiver from the COVID shot could be another wait of 28 months. It's insanity. Nearly 5 years for an American to get his wife legal entry. If only Marietta had been a basketball star arrested in Russia on drug charges, she would have been here in 10 months through a prisoner exchange. If she had just used the CBP1 app for a scheduled entry, it would have been only weeks. She wasn't selected for a free ride on a chartered plane to the city of her choice by Biden. No, Marietta and Dave didn't do any of that. They played by the rules, only to be ignored by the bureaucracy where no one is accountable for anything. I'm Jeannie Ives. To learn more, sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
The Real Story with Jeannie Ives continues on AM 560. The Answer.
All right. Woo! Sunday night. Thanks for listening in. We're down to our last segment here, and we're trying to get our guest on. I'm not sure if George has been able to connect with him yet. His name is Marc Joffe. Okay, not yet. Still working on it. Okay, and he is one of the authors of a CATO report. Hold on. That CATO report is called Reforming State and Local Economic Development Subsidies. It was written by Scott Lincecum, Marc Joffe, and Krit Chang-Wong. So it's really good and it's super timely. All right, great. We've got Marc on. So first of all, though, I wanted to start with this. Okay, so I'm just reading this straight up from a CNN report. United Auto Workers Union President Shawn Fain said Tuesday the group plans to hold strike authorization votes against Stellantis because the automaker was failing to live up to guarantees it made during a labor deal struck last year. In a speech to members Tuesday night, Fain said the UAW is prepared to hold strike authorization votes at one or more locals that represent Stellantis workers and to have those workers go on strike if the company does not meet union demands. Well, what were the union demands? Well, here's what they were, because I followed this very, very closely. Their union demand was that, and by the way, Stellantis was the last of the three automakers that they settled with when the UAW went on strike last year in total. And they were holding out for Stellantis to reopen the Belvidere plant in Illinois that had been closed just a year previously, and to invest in new technology there. So they wanted the plant reopened for electrical vehicle manufacturing, and Stellantis also agreed to open up a parts facility there and an EV battery plant as well, reemploying all of the Stellantis workers that had been, furloughed at that point about a year ago. And by the way, they were still either on unemployment or they were on a company subsidy following their furlough. And Fain wanted all that to happen. Now, how did he get that deal struck? There is no doubt in my mind that the way that Fain got that deal struck is because he got agreement from Governor Pritzker for a massive, massive tax subsidy, just like Governor Pritzker gave Goshen, $536 million. And then 6 months after the Stellantis deal closes, announces in May, actually probably about 8 months later, in May of this year, that they're giving Rivian $827 million as well. Well, there's no doubt in my mind that Illinois taxpayer money was leveraged to seal the deal and close down the strike against Stellantis at the request of Stellantis to the governor to reopen this plant. That's how it was made. Illinois taxpayers, is the information out on this? No, not yet. But I assure you that's exactly the deal that was made. Illinois taxpayers' money was leveraged to finish the UAW strike. That's what's going on. That's what's going on. These tax subsidies now are not $50 million like Rivian got when it first opened up. Oh, I think that was probably about 8 years ago. They got $50 million when they opened up that Normal plant, the plant in Normal, Illinois. Oh, no. $827 million now. Massive tax subsidies. And so I'm really, really pleased to have Marc Joffe on with me right now. He's an analyst with the Cato Institute, and he served in the financial industry, including as a senior director role with Moody's Analytics. He transitioned to policy research, having most recently worked at the Reason Foundation. His research focuses on government finance and state policy issues, and he's been published in a number of prominent magazines, and his op-eds have appeared in the Wall Street Journal, the Orange County Register, the Fiscal Times, Governing, National Review, The Hill, and San Jose Mercury News. He's got an MBA from New York University and an MPA from San Francisco State University, and he joins me right now. Thank you so much for taking time on a Sunday night to talk about this important issue.
Thanks for having me, Jeannie. And I guess I'd start out by saying at least some good news for Illinois is that when we did our study, we found a couple of states have given incentives north of $1 billion, and a couple even north of $1.5 billion. So at least Illinois is, keeping it real, with staying below that $1 billion threshold.
Yeah, well, I guess we have a little bit to be thankful for that we didn't give the $1 billion subsidies. And I know Michigan's beaten us too, even when it comes to the Goshen deals. But overall, I mean, these just really aren't that great of a thing for states to be handing out. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Especially with EVs now, demand really isn't materializing the way the federal government and blue state governments were expecting. And so a lot of these plants just aren't getting built or aren't getting built as quickly or at the size that was expected. So a lot of these subsidies, might turn out to be wasted in terms of the job creation that was promised.
Well, you know what? I don't mind if they're wasted, but I will say this. We spend a lot of time, I would say staff time, on trying to attract the right types of businesses, when in reality, so many of these businesses, they are going to fail. I mean, Fisker Automotive failed famously, and I think you even mentioned that in your article, that they've never achieved what they said that they were going to do, and yet they got upfront subsidies.
Yes, and Rivian, which you're hosting in Illinois, that's another example. I was just checking out their stock. If you look at the 5-year performance of their stock, it went down from something like 150 to around 10 right now. So you really have to wonder, is Rivian going to last long enough to actually open this plant that they're promising, the people of Illinois?
No doubt about it. And also when it comes to the Goshen deal, previous to Governor Pritzker getting a $400 million deal closing fund, he had lost out on 18 other EV battery plants. And so he went to the legislature specifically to ask for a deal closing fund. And in remarks that he made, he said that the deal closing fund was crucial to landing the Goshen deal. And in that deal, which is, I find the worst thing, I mean, it's one thing to say, okay, your incentives are based on job creation and actual investment in a particular plant and all that. Even though I don't like the investment stuff so much, because you could just leave that behind and invest it in nothing and leave an empty plant floor. But in this case, Goshen, within 4 months of signing that deal and announcing it, they got $125 million cash up front without even final permits for the whole plant.
Right, which is pretty scary. It could be a repeat of what happened with Foxconn in Wisconsin, where nothing really materialized. So the taxpayers are out up front, and then nothing comes in at the back end.
So it does feel like this is a bipartisan effort to attract businesses. I mean, Foxconn was a famous deal that Scott Walker touted, and that really has been a failure as well.
Yeah, it's a bipartisan thing, although I think it's a little more blue shaded than red shaded, but your mileage may vary.
Well, one thing I do know that it's more blue shaded than red shaded, and at least from a standpoint of Illinois. And one of the things that you say should happen is you say the best approach to local economic policy is to eschew special deals and provide a better environment for all companies by lowering taxes, reducing regulations, and accelerating permitting processes. Now, Illinois is stuck in that quagmire. We do none of the above. In fact, we make it very, very difficult to start a business here. And CEO Magazine consistently ranks us 47th out of 50 states on best places to start a business.
Yes, and I'm based in California, so I think we're below you.
I think you are.
So I share your pain. Yeah, it's all about making these special deals, getting the headlines, but then just not providing a good environment for businesses, and then losing out to Texas and Florida, right, or Tennessee. So, businesses that just want a predictable regulatory environment and reasonable taxes, they just get fed up with these states and move to states that are, that have a better regulatory and tax environment.
So did you find in your research, because you basically say that your conclusion was politicians have powerful motivations to offer corporate incentives, and in many states, they face few impediments in doing so. This is unfortunate, as these incentives often fail to deliver promised jobs and economic growth while imposing heavy budgetary and non-budgetary costs. That I can definitely say is true in the state of Illinois. Is there a state that's doing it right?
Wow. We didn't really find states that were, doing incredible, but there definitely are states that are, giving more of these incentives than others. So we see, Georgia, Michigan, North Carolina are states that are really providing a lot of incentives. Oddly, California, not so much. So maybe in one rare case, California might be a good example here. They're not really competing for these big contracts as much.
But then they're also not maybe winning some of that business either, because they just historically have terrible regulations. So is there a particular state that doesn't offer a lot of incentives yet has all the underlying benefits that a company would look to open up business that you would say is sort of a model for best business practices?
Well, I'm looking at the league tables that we produced in the report for both EVs and semiconductors, which is the other hot area, and I'm not seeing much if anything, from Florida. So Florida could be a great example, and certainly Florida's been attracting a lot of businesses both from your state and my state.
That's for sure too. How does Tennessee and Texas rank? Because I think those are other states where you don't have an income tax and you probably have a lighter touch on regulation.
Well, sadly, Texas is really out there with a lot of these incentives, and Tennessee has had a few cases as well. But
okay, so they're not good examples.
It on heavy.
Yeah,
not great. Yeah, Florida seems to be better in this case.
So I grew up in South Dakota. How does South Dakota rank?
Well, I think the thing is, I don't see any major deals from South Dakota, but if I'm not mistaken, South Dakota is still below 1 million population.
Yes.
So I think it would be very hard for South Dakota to come up with 100 million, 500 million, or certainly $1 billion to attract the business. So, just looking at these deals by value, which is what we focused on, South Dakota is not going to be a player.
Yeah, that's definitely true. So, okay, the other thing is, I've heard a lot of pushback from small and medium-sized businesses, at least from the Technology and Manufacturing Association, on particularly the Goshen deal. And I guess that's on the forefront of my mind because we just had Congressman LaHood in for a roundtable discussion about Goshen on Thursday in Manteno. He and Congressman Molinar just, raked him across the coals about how they really are tied to the CCP. They're tied to forced labor in China. They're a national security threat. They're trying to own the market. Anybody who listened to that entire discussion would have said, why are we giving them $500 million in tax subsidies? That's truly what the conversation that we should be having when it comes to foreign actors like Goshen. But it just doesn't seem like we can. Are you in the public sphere? Does anybody call on you for your research and reports? Do you ever get a chance to speak in front of state legislatures about these incentives and whether or not they're actually working or not?
We just put this out, but some of my colleagues at Cato, I think, have been on this topic before. So certainly we're available if someone in the state of Illinois would like to have us. We welcome the opportunity. And, with respect to, Goshen or other foreign actors, I think the big concern there is just a lack of transparency. At least with a publicly listed company like Rivian, we can sort of look inside, see what they're doing. Mm-hmm. But these foreign-owned companies, we just really don't know what's going on in there. And as you say, it could be a security risk for us.
Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight on The Real Story. I just really appreciate your work here. We need great research and great documentation of what's going on when it comes to this type of incentives. And so I plan on sharing in fact, I already have shared your research for work with state legislators that I'm familiar with. And I just want to tell you how much we appreciate your work in this area.
Terrific. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And we'll be right back with The Real Story, and we'll take a call from Fran and Aurora.
After decades of treasured experiences and cherished moments, you want to feel the best that you can. Whether it's cheering on your grandchildren at their baseball games, planting new flowers in your yard, or simply spending quality time with loved ones. Take Balance of Nature's fruits and veggie supplements along with you. Made from whole fruits and vegetable ingredients, they are free from added fillers or preservatives. Embrace life's adventures with confidence, knowing you're getting more variety of fruit and vegetable ingredients every step of the way. Start your journey with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
If your approach to everyday aches and pains is to mask them, feel better for a few hours only to have the pain return and then repeat the cycle all over again, it's time to try Relief Factor. And the good news is Relief Factor makes that easy. Their 3-week quick start is just $19.95, less than $1 a day. Instead of masking pain, Relief Factor helps eliminate it. How? Well, its unique formula of ingredients helps support your body's response to inflammation. Relief Factor was developed by doctors. It's 100% drug-free, and for so many people, the results are game-changing, even life-changing. So give it a try. Right now, their 3-week quick start is just $19.95. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4RELIEF. See how in a few weeks or even days, Relief Factor can reduce your pain. When you feel better, life is just better. So don't mask pain. Fight it naturally with Relief Factor.
Your local State Farm agent Anthony DeGrotto combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. You can combine your home, auto, and life insurance to not only save you money, but give you the peace of mind you've been looking for. Anthony DeGrotto is your go-to agent in Chicagoland. He and his team will work for you to provide the best service you expect at the price you want. Combine your home, auto, and life insurance today. Anthony DeGrotto will help you mix and match things perfectly. His State Farm office is a top pick 2024 Daily Herald Reader's Choice Award winner. He's a proud supporter of Tunnel to Towers and like-minded as you. His State Farm agency is currently looking to add members at their Roselle office. Call Anthony at 847-895-1500 today or visit DeGrottoSF.com. That's DeGrottoSF.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
Now, more of The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
All right, welcome back. Well, to help me close out the show tonight, we're going to take this call from Fran in Aurora. Fran?
Hey, Jeannie. How you doing?
Great. Thanks for joining me tonight on The Real Story.
So I live in Aurora, and I went down to Manteno for the round table. And I wanted to speak, but it's really the place for the people in Manteno to speak, and God bless them. One of the things I wanted to do was thank every single one of them. Thank you. Thank all the people who are working on this. You're the tip of the spear here in Illinois. And God bless the people up in Michigan. People have to wake up. They have to understand this is not the only spot that they're doing this. I started looking at this in 2013 when the Chinese Communist Party bought Smithfield Foods. Oh, by the way, people don't know this. And it's everywhere. It's our land. They're into supplying our military. It's just everywhere. And God bless these people. And I would encourage all your listeners. I donated when I was down there to them, and encourage them, help them in any way you can, because this is just, it's everywhere. And so, people don't understand.
Well, so you sat through the whole hour-and-a-half hearing. There was also Q&A from the audience. They opened up the floor. I mean, that's pretty impressive. A lot of times, Congress folks, I mean, you can go to a town hall, and I've been to Delia Ramirez's town hall, canned questions. No real, handing the person the microphone and letting them actually ask a real question. So these people, I mean, Congressman Molinar, Congressman LaHood, could not have been more open with that crowd to really hear their concerns. So you sat through the whole thing. But what was your impression? What really hit you about what was discussed on Thursday?
The town of Manteno and their elected officials have sold them out, and so is the governor. And these people are standing up. They're trying to do the right thing for their community. And I think that Congressman Molinar and LaHood get it. And I also watched the hearings of the House Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party, and I would encourage all your listeners to start pulling that up.
Yes.
On their computers and listen to those, because in a bipartisan fashion, they all sit there. All the members of the committee sit there and say, "Oh my gosh, their hair is on fire. This is not good. This is awful." And yet, they won't go to Governor Pritzker and say, "Stop it. Stop it now. Stop this."
No, I mean Raja Krishnamurthy.
Raj Krishnamurthy.
Yeah, he is the Democrat lead on the select committee on the CCP. So it is the
ranking
House
member, right?
Yeah, he's the ranking member. Of course, the House is controlled by the Republicans, and the Republican head of that committee is Congressman Molinar, and his Democrat ranking member is Raja, right here in Illinois. And he could not be bothered to show up at this roundtable, nor could he be bothered to talk to Governor Pritzker, and yet he has sat through all the testimony. He has sat side by side with Congressman Molinar on a number of issues. He is dealing with the CCP and their incursion into American technology and all the other bad acting things that they've done. He is also, I believe he voted for some of the legislation during the China week, essentially saying, you know what, we're not going to use batteries from, Goshen batteries can't be used by a Department of Defense. I'm not sure how he voted on that bill, but I bet he voted for it. If he didn't, he's foolish because he's listened to all the testimony and yet he can't talk to Governor Pritzker.
Right. It's just, he sits up there and he says all the right things during the hearing, but he can't go to Governor Pritzker and say, look, this is what I know. And we have a bill in the House right now where my state representative, Barb Hernandez, wants to open being a police officer to non-citizens.
Well,
and one of the arguments, what?
That bill passed.
Right.
Bill, yeah.
So hello, folks, wake up.
Yeah,
now,
no.
You know, they say, well, we let them in the military. Oh, Well, hello. Maybe you should start checking on how many Chinese military have been arrested for espionage.
Yep. Hey, Fran, we've got to leave it right there. I got to close out the night. I just want to encourage everybody to go to breakthrough-ideas.com and sign up for our border event October 22nd. You will not be disappointed. It's going to be a very, very informative event. Go to breakthrough-ideas.com and sign up for our border event. Thank you for joining me.
Great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
This is Chicago's election station, AM 560 The Answer, WIND Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app, or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
The storm threatens. I'm Kathleen Maloney, Fox News. Hurricane Milton is rapidly intensifying in the Gulf of Mexico. Michael Brennan is director of the National Hurricane Center in Miami.
We're expecting Milton to move slowly generally towards the east over the next 24 to 36 hours, and then move more quickly towards the east, northeast, and northeast as we move into the middle portions of the week. And that's